Hello and welcome. My name is John Valentine, and in this course I'll be talking about the 4x Twitter strategy. Now this is a very specific Twitter strategy in order to increase your followers, increase your reach, and be very consistent in posting. The 4x Twitter strategy is basically a strategy that allows you to tweet 4 times a day, but it's not as hard as it sounds. So I'll be breaking it down fully in this course. First of all, I'm going to be talking about the advantages of using Twitter. Then I'm going to be talking about content batching, picking your moments, using a content farm, using threads, and at the end I'm going to be summarizing everything, giving you some final tips and tricks. So make sure to stick around towards the end in order to hear all about that. Now it's time for you to sit back and take in all this information. So make sure to follow my channel and be ready to hear all this info. So thank you so much for joining me today, and let's get right into this first class here. Now, first of all, I just wanted to mention some of the advantages of using Twitter. If you're not a big Twitter user, let me break down some of the good benefits that you can have when using Twitter. So first of all, there's no restraints. You can be yourself fully. You can post whatever, within reason, of course. They even allow all kinds of videos and pictures and texts, so they're a lot more lenient than, let's say, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. There's not that many community guidelines that you can, go against. Not that you would need to. I'm just saying Twitter is very, very big on, freedom and whatever you want to talk about. Of course, within reason and within certain parameters of online harassment and stuff like that. But let's not talk about any of that, because nobody of you is doing that anyways. But there's way less restraints than other social media platforms. You can truly talk about anything and be yourself. It is very authentic, and it is very personal, because it's literally almost just like you emptying your thoughts. And second of all, you can keep it short. Of course, for the longest while there's a 140 character limit. Now they increased that, but it also is good because it forces you to stay short and sweet. If you have an Instagram caption, of course there's a limit, but there's a lot more that you can write, and plus there's the whole content that you post. You have to post an image plus whatever it is you're writing, your captions. You can post a video or whatever. On Twitter you can simply put out 3 words and that would be enough for a tweet. You can really do as much as you want, but it also forces you to keep it short, because it is Twitter. Nobody wants to read a wall of text, so it removes the filler and gets right to the juice of what you want to say, whether it's news, information, opinions, gossip, whatever it is that you want to post. So forcing you to keep it short is good, and it also allows you to keep it short. And third of all, you can have instant feedback of whatever it is that you're doing. It's very instant. Of course, a lot of social media platforms like Instagram and stuff is also instant, but using Twitter can be great for whatever it is that you want to do, for interacting with your followers. You have retweets, replies, comments, etc. You can really use it for anything, and that leads right next to my last point here, and that is the idea chamber. Twitter is great for ideas and interacting with others. You can throw out a concept or an idea and let people respond to that specific idea. You can let your ideas flow and get feedback. You can really just let everything out, and people will respond to that with whatever it is they do. You can engage in other people's content and other tweets and then get a reply from them. So it's great for exchanging ideas and sharing that kind of content and all kinds of opinions, where people will have an immediate impact and an immediate response to whatever it is you're doing. Also, when I say be careful who you follow, you definitely want to make sure that you follow the right people. You want to be not just creating content but also consuming, because Twitter can be very valuable in the information that you gain, and it can be very valuable in the things that you learn, interacting with people. So following people can also be great. If you don't want to have that much content, you can just follow and lurk. Talking about just using Twitter in general, of course not for this 4x strategy, but just using Twitter in general, you can also learn a lot and gain a lot of information by simply interacting with other people and following them. So definitely see who you follow. You can cut out the fat, cut out the unnecessary people that you don't want to see, and you can definitely just follow the people that you like and have your home screen full of information and valuable stuff that you would want to see. So using Twitter can be very great, not just with this 4x strategy, but just in general. So definitely something to consider. But let's get right into the 4x strategy, and let's move on to the next video here. So let's talk about content batching. Content batching is of course always good with social media, and content batching basically means that you do a bunch of content in one session and then you spread that out throughout the week, throughout the month, whatever it is. With something like Instagram, of course, if it's not very news dependent or accurate in that sense, you can take 100 pictures and then just post them every day. If you have a sushi restaurant, for example, you can just post 100 different pictures of your food. It doesn't really matter if it was made that day, because if you just take 30 pictures and spread it throughout the month, sushi is always going to be the same. There's not going to be too much change in the way people make sushi from now until a month from now. So of course, with something like that, you can have this kind of content very greatly done in one day. For example, you can batch a bunch of content, and similar, you can use it with tweet. Unless it's something like breaking news, you can write a week's worth of tweets in a day and then schedule them. So if you have, for example, marketing tricks, let's say you're someone like me who has a marketing agency, or somebody who gives out marketing tips, of course that has to be relatively new. But if I schedule a tweet out for 6 days from now, there's not going to be too much difference in the marketing agency, unless there's some breaking news and huge development. But if I tell you how to use emojis 5 days from now, it's probably still going to be accurate and good. If I tell you how to use captions on Instagram, if I tell you how to do SEO on a certain website, most likely it's still going to be great. So depending, of course, on your content, but most of the time, especially if it's not too far away, if you schedule 6 months from now, it's probably not that good of an idea. But if you create content every week, every Sunday, for example, for that week, that is part of the 4x Twitter strategy on how you can tweet 4 times a day, because you don't have to think 4 different times a day. You just have to think a bunch of times on one day, write 50 tweets, and then you can have those scheduled and tweet them out whenever you want, whenever you think they are. So again, instead of just besides breaking news and relevant tweets that are in the moment, general tweets can be prepared. If you're a stand-up comedian, you can write jokes, and your joke is probably still going to be good 2 weeks from now. So make these kind of jokes, you can prepare them, and of course schedule them then accordingly. Content batching with all types of social media is always a very good idea if you can, because it takes up so much work. You don't have to start it 20 times a day every day. You just do it once for a few hours and you get a bunch of work out of the way for the week. You don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. So definitely a great idea, content batching. And let's move on to the next step of this strategy. The next part of the strategy is to pick your moments. To pick your moments when to tweet and when to write. So first of all, to tweet, you want to schedule of certain times. If you are a local business, for example, then of course you want to adhere to the time zone that your business is in. If you're a local video game store, you want to tweet throughout the day of where your store is located. If you're an online business that doesn't really care about time zones and you have customers all over the globe, maybe you can schedule these multiple tweets 4 times a day in different time zones, so you hit all time zones. One at 9 a.m. your time, one at 2 p.m. your time, one at 11 p.m. and one at 5 a.m. during the night. That way you can get all time zones, and you can also sort of spread out your tweets in a good way anyways. So definitely something to think about. You have to consider that with your audience. Where is your audience located? Where's the majority of my audience located? And then adhere to that time zone schedule, and of course schedule them out. You don't want to tweet 3 times in a row unless they're connected, but you don't want to tweet out 4 times in 10 minutes and then have nothing for the rest of the day. But schedule them accordingly, and in order to have that. So you can also tweet between your tasks. So of course I said content batching, but of course sometimes you have inspirational thoughts right in that moment and you want to tweet it. So just pick your moments and tweet between those tasks. Maybe you have 10 minutes and you just thought of a funny tweet. You thought, great, let's tweet it right now. And so just pick your moments when to tweet and when to do that. So you can also have your scheduled tweets and then add tweets whenever you feel like it here and there. Okay, you have a tweet scheduled for 8 p.m. today, but right now it's 5:35 and I just thought of something funny. That's definitely a great time to tweet. So definitely keep that in mind as well. And also to write, of course you have to decide on a day where you have some good time that you can take aside in order to plan that and in order to batch all your tweets. And also a good idea to do is, of course, even though you do want to batch it, maybe sometimes throughout the week you have an idea for like 5 funny tweets and you don't want to tweet them all right there. Just open up your notes on your phone or whatever, write down on a piece of paper, write them down when the ideas come, and then save them for that next week or whatever it is, if they're of course still valid. Or you can tweet directly, but again, some of these things, if you have ideas for 6 tweets in a row, you just gather them. Sometimes they just come to you naturally. You can write them down and then schedule them later on. So stuff like that. And also, of course, if you want feedback on it, you're like, okay, I just had a great idea, and then you want to throw it out there immediately, like, hey, maybe if I did hats instead of shirts would be better. What do you guys think? And you can just tweet that out right away, of course. So pick your moments on when to do each, when to tweet, when to write, when to batch, and when to actually put out content. So definitely something to keep in mind. And another good part of the strategy, let's move on. So what you want to do is create a content farm from yourself and others. So what you want to do is repurpose your ideas and other posts into tweets. For example, if you have a YouTube video that's 20 minutes long, maybe upload a 20-second highlight clip. If you have Instagram picture, you can post that Instagram picture on Twitter as well. If you have a LinkedIn post, you can post it on Twitter. And you can not only post it on Twitter, but you can also link to your other sites, therefore creating that farm of people and audience traffic coming to other sites. So for example, you can link the Instagram post on your tweet with the picture. People can click on it and say, hey, I don't even follow him on Instagram, let me follow him on Instagram as well. So you want to use yourself as a content farm, repurpose your content not just on one site, but on other platforms as well. This goes honestly for everything. If you have a Twitch channel, you can create highlights on YouTube, and you can upload those highlights on Instagram, you can upload those highlights on TikTok and on Twitter. And of course, Twitter is another part of that. So definitely reuse other content for your Twitter, not just from yourself, but maybe from others. Maybe you saw a funny video from someone else and you can comment on it with a tweet, or you saw a funny clip from someone else and you can, link them and just tweet it out from yourself though. Be like, oh, this guy did this and this, and then link, of course, give some credit, and but you can definitely use that as well. So of course, don't directly copy and specific tweets, and people never like that, but if you do it gracefully, if you do it well, if you do it appropriately, it also comes off very well. So you can definitely use that for your content. For top stories, there's only so much you can change. If a certain person did something, then they'd be like, this guy, whatever, Jeff Bezos went to space. Well, there's not really that much difference that you can say than Jeff Bezos went to space. Of course, you can make your own jokes and funny comments about it, but other than that, for top stories, sometimes there's only so much you can change, so don't feel pressured to change that too much. But definitely something to keep in mind is a content farm of reusing your content, not just for one platform, but all across social media. That is always a good idea, and also when it comes to Twitter. Next, what you want to do is use threads. So using Twitter threads can be very efficient. And if you don't know, Twitter threads or tweet threads are long sets of tweets about the same topic that can't be addressed in one tweet because of the length requirements or whatever. So if somebody wants to talk about one topic, sometimes you can see these threads that go on for like 15, 20 tweets, and you can see that people talk about a certain topic mostly from one user. Somebody says, oh, let's talk about funny memes from the Olympics, and then he links 20 different memes about the Olympics. Of course, you can't do that in one tweet, so he has a thread. So these threads are always can often be very, very important and very useful for you and from others. So you can use your own threads, or you can interact with other people's thread. Sometimes you can turn a tweet basically into a blog post. So if you have a blog post that's something like 300 words, 500 words, you probably can't really do that in one tweet. You want to do that over a couple of tweets. Maybe you can split it up even better. And so you can definitely use that in order to have a blog post on Twitter and use it within a thread. My advice is to have at least one thread once a week. Either make one or engage in one, so you can turn your long stories into direct posts. And of course, make the last tweet a call to action. So if you have a blog post that you created that's a couple of thousand words or a couple hundred words, whatever, and you want to have a Twitter thread, at the last tweet, the last one, be like, if you want to read the full article, visit this website, or if you want to see the full blog post, do this. If you want to see a video, do this, go to this YouTube link, and so on. So make the last tweet a call to action in order to increase your reach traffic on your other sites or whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And of course, it can help you to increase Twitter following and your website traffic and so on. So creating your own threads is a great way, and also engaging in other people's threads, commenting on them, replying on them, engaging with them, and just being social on Twitter is also very important as well. So threads can be very, very powerful when it comes to increasing all those areas. So that's basically going to be it for the 4x Twitter strategy, and it's called 4x again because you want to post 4 times a day, whether it's a thread, whether it's a simple tweet, whether it's something else, a picture, content from somewhere else. Posting around 4 times a day can be a great way, especially for a smaller account, to really build your following and get out there and put out a lot of content. And it's made easier by the strategy that I outlined here: content batching, premeditated ideas, and so on. So definitely something all to take into consideration. Again, some final tips and conclusion tricks here is you don't want to overthink it. It is Twitter, it is natural. Sometimes some tweets miss, and sometimes some tweets are really good. It is just a flow of ideas almost, so don't think about tweets too much. Of course, don't be careless, but again, it is just a Twitter post, so put it out there. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Of course, keep in mind to not be sort of hurtful in any way and stuff like that, inappropriate. But when it comes to just general ideas of tweets, don't overthink it too much and just do it. Another great tip is to keep a library of tweets for backup. Maybe one week you have writer's block, you have no idea what to do. It's always a good idea to keep 10 to 20 tweets, something in your back pocket that is timeless, that you can always tweet, maybe a joke, maybe a funny opinion that doesn't really change over a couple of weeks or months or something like that. So definitely just keep a backup library of tweets that you can tweet at any time in case you run out of content or you really don't know anymore what to say and what to write. And also give more than you take. So don't do too many retweets and posting links, running polls, etc. You don't want to overload your timeline with retweets because it's not your content. You're retweeting for someone else, and if people see too many retweets, they're going to get annoyed as well because they followed you for you, not for what you retweet. So keep that in mind as well. You don't want to ask too much. Don't post too many links. Be like, sign up for this and this and this. You do want to give a lot as well. Funny content, interesting content, entertaining content, whatever it is. So definitely something to keep in mind. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. I do have some big news. I just started a weekly newsletter called Valentine Weekly, where I give social media and digital marketing tips and tricks, news, and so on every week that only takes 5 minutes to read. So definitely make sure to sign up that for free, and make sure to join a large community of people who want to learn all the newest tips and tricks and news and breaking news about social media marketing and everything. So make sure to sign up. The link is in my profile, and also you can just go to tinyurl.com/weeklyval. It's on the screen if you are interested in joining. So make sure to sign up for that. But thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure to follow the channel, and I hope to see you in the next course. Thank you and goodbye.